Hello everyone, good morning. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Okay, alright. So today is 1st of July 2022 and today we are going to cover the Hindu newspaper. Okay. So I have enlisted some important articles for the day and we are going to cover those topics with reference to the subject that they are related to. I will also talk about like which topic is important for the prelims exam and which topic is important for the mains exam. So let us quickly have a look into those topics one by one that we are going to understand today. Okay. So the first topic is, it says cnpn allows backdoor entry to big tech firms. Okay. So in this article we will talk about what do we mean by cnpn. What role does it have with the telecom sector? What is the role of 5G? Right? So we are going to talk about this topic with reference to Indian economy and also with reference to science and technology. Okay, with reference to science and technology. So this topic is going to be important for the prelims exam. And after that we are going to talk about the second topic that says banks have capital to buffer any shock. Okay. So this particular observation was made by the Reserve Bank of India. Okay. So the Reserve Bank of India has recently conducted a study, and under that study the Reserve Bank of India has said that since the economies are moving towards stagflation. Okay. So here we will understand about what do we mean by stagflation and why India is thinking that an economic recession is imminent. Okay. So in this perspective the Reserve Bank of India has made this observation that Indian banks have adequate capital with them, so that the financial sector is not going to collapse if in any case if a recession comes. So we will understand this topic with reference to Indian economy for prelims and mains together. Then the next topic is related to fiscal deficit touched 12.3% of financial year 2023 in May. Okay. So we will understand about what is fiscal deficit, what is the role of fiscal deficit in an economy like India, and what has happened during the month of May. Okay. This is also related to Indian economy. So I found multiple articles that are important for Indian economy in today's newspaper. Then we are going to discuss about another topic that says Russia withdraws from Snake Island. So we will understand the importance of Snake Island, where is it located, what is its importance in the world map, whether there is an whether it is important for the mapping section of geography, and we will talk about recent happenings in Russia and Ukraine. All right. So this topic is important under international relations. Okay. Then the next topic, it says good progress in talks with Sri Lanka, and this particular observation was made by International Monetary Fund. Okay. So we know that International Monetary Fund and World Bank, they together form one of the highest financial institutions in the world. So we know recently the Sri Lankan government or Sri Lanka has preeminently told that Sri Lanka will not be able to repay the debt that it has taken, and they are facing this balance of payment crisis similar to the ones that we have faced in Indian economy in 1991. So we will talk about recent developments related to it, and also what is the role that the that the International Monetary Fund is playing in this particular situation in Sri Lanka. Okay. So this topic is important under international relations, and it is important to understand about international organizations like International Monetary Fund. Then next topic is related to Tihar inmates to get skill training. Okay. Tihar means it is a jail that is located in Delhi. So the government of Delhi has recently planned that we are going to do some good for the jail inmates by providing them education while skilling them. Okay, so that once they come out of jail, they can easily integrate with the society, so that they can lead a good life for themselves. Okay, we are going to understand this topic with reference to Indian society. And the next topic is related to green touchstone. Okay, so this article is important under environment and ecology, and in this article we will understand about Gadgil report or Gadgil committee report, and we will understand about its significance for the ecological integrity in like Kerala, especially in the Western Ghat region. Okay, so we are going to talk all of it in today's discussion. So like first we are going to take those topics that are important for the prelims exam. We are going to discuss those topics in detail, okay, and we are going to be little quick also in that. Okay, after covering any topic, like if you have any doubt in them, you can ask your query. Okay, so let us begin our discussion. So this topic says CNPN allows backdoor entry to big tech farms. Okay, COAI urges center to revisit rules. So here we find two such acronyms that are rarely in the news. Okay, CNPN and then COAI. Okay, COAI stands for the Cellular Operators Association of India. Okay, Cellular Operators Association of India. So what is this? Cellular Operators Association of India is an association, is a body that represents those companies that are providing telecom services to the consumers. For example, this particular organization, Cellular Operators Association of India, it represents those companies like Airtel, Jio, Vodafone, Idea, like that. You are understanding my point? So this particular organization is taking the viewpoint of telecom companies. Okay, it has a view of telecom companies. Telecom companies, in short, sometimes in news mentioned as telcos. Okay, it is mentioned as telcos, TELCOS. Telcos means telecom companies in short. Okay, so like whatever observation this particular body is going to make, it is going to take the view of these companies, Vodafone, Idea, like these telecom companies. All right. So apart from this, we have another term which is known as captive non-public network. Okay, in short, CNPN. What do we mean by captive non-public networks? Okay, it is a very technical term. This is relevant with reference to science and technology. Okay, we will understand about this term, captive non-public network. Okay, for example, let us talk about that, like this is an organization, this is a company. Okay, maybe a company, an organization, an institution, anything like this. This like black and white color that you see. So what has happened, like if we talk about this organization may need high speed internet connectivity. Okay, it may be needing high speed internet connectivity. So what happens, like if government of India allows 5G to come, right? 5G to come means like if like we enable the 5G mechanism in India, so many companies, for example Airtel, Vodafone, Idea, Reliance, any company that you may think of. Okay, these companies may come up, okay, these companies may come up with their own 5G plans. They may install their towers, their networks, so that they can provide services to the public at large. Public means the individual consumers like you, or for example the companies, the organizations, all of these, they need high speed network. As of now, the highest speed network that we have is through 4G. So 5G, once it comes, it will have higher speed, it will have lower data latency. Lot of benefits are going to be there because of 5G. But like what happens if we talk about captive non-public network? So captive non-public network will be some sort of tower or something like that, which is going to provide service to one particular organization, one particular company, one particular institution. Means, let's consider a network is set up over here nearby this particular organization, and it is covering only this organization. It is not covering any other organization. But this network, this internet service is not going to be provided by those telecom companies like Airtel, Vodafone, Idea and all. Who is going to provide these services? It is going to be provided by technical companies. Technical means software, hardware manufacturing companies that make those equipments. For example, RFID tags are there, a lot of things are there, means like there can be big companies that are making these equipments. So these tech companies, tech means technical companies. So here we need to understand the difference between technical companies and telecom companies. Telecom companies means that are providing services for cellular telephony or internet services. Then tech companies means, for example, if I talk about TCS, if I talk about Infosys, if I talk about HCL, if I talk about Wipro, right? If I talk about Happiest Minds. So there can be multiple tech companies. So these tech companies may make those equipments that are capable of providing internet services to a localized area, to a localized institution. That is known as captive non-public networks. Are we understanding the distinction between the two? Captive non-public networks means these are networks that are providing services to only designated, only specific institutions, only specific organizations. It is not providing telecom services to the larger public at large. You understanding? So what has happened?
There are one of the technical production companies. The
Right.
production companies will deal with only
Right.
cellular companies only.
Right.
That cellular companies will give the service to the people.
Right. No, now let us understand. So what has happened, this COAI, which is Cellular Operators Association of India, it has asked the government of India that like the regulatory framework or the policy documents that it has created for allowing the 5G technologies to flourish in India, it is giving backdoor entry. It is giving backdoor entry to big technical firms. Like we have two distinction. One is big technical firms, means those IT companies, big MNCs and all. And on the other hand, we have telecom companies like Airtel, Reliance, Vodafone, Jio. Okay. So these are cellular companies that are providing services to the larger audience at large. But those technical companies will be manufacturing those things. And if they directly provide these, captive networks, then it is going to reduce the revenue of the telecom companies.
Automatically some companies
Yeah. Telecom companies' revenues will be reduced. So that's why this particular organization, Cellular Operators Association of India, it has talked to the government. It has told that government should not allow backdoor entry into the telecom market to the which organizations? To the tech companies. Okay. So it has urged the center to relook into the concept of cnpn and ensure a level playing field. Okay. So this is the thing. Now we have understood that this particular thing is if I talk about Department of Telecommunication of TRAI. TRAI means Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. So this particular organization is regulating the telecom services in India. It is regulating those companies that are providing internet services, that are providing telephony services, for example Reliance, Jio, Vodafone, Idea, etc. Okay. So if captive non-public networks, they are allowed to do business in this domain, so it is going to bring down the revenue of telecom companies. So have we understood the context of this article, what it wants to say?
maybe the present operators will get lost.
Right, right. So with this we will move to the next topic. Okay, we will understand the next topic. So this topic says banks have capital to buffer any shock. So what has happened now, if we talk about, there are multiple situations that is making Indian economy to go down. What are those things? One thing is the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. And apart from this, the Fed Reserve, the United States of America, their Reserve Bank, they have increased the interest rates there. Okay. So people are finding attractive to invest their money in USA, whether they are US citizens or Indian citizens. So what it is leading to? It is leading to those investors who had earlier invested in Indian market through, for example, through SEBI regulated instruments in stock market and all. So those foreign institutional investors, they have started taking out their money back to US economy. Okay, they have started taking out their money from Indian economy back to US economy. Okay, so we are seeing capital flight. Capital flight means the money is flowing away, finance is flowing away from Indian economy to US economy. And at the same time, the rapidly what is happening, the dollar is appreciating in comparison with rupee, means like dollar is getting stronger and stronger day by day, and Indian currency, Indian rupee is depreciating, it is going down. All right, so all these factors are leading to a situation that may lead to recession. Okay, it may lead to recession. Recession means economic slowdown. All right, it means economic slowdown. So the thing is, the Reserve Bank of India, and recently multiple commentaries have come from the Ministry of Finance, from the Reserve Bank of India, and Reserve Bank of India has done they have done what we say an analysis, and in that analysis the Reserve Bank of India have pointed out that this scheduled commercial banks as well as non-banking financial companies, they have sufficient capital buffers, they have huge capital with them, okay, to withstand any shock that may emanate from the pandemic or ongoing geopolitical tensions in Europe. Okay, so Reserve Bank of India has come up with a report. This is known as Financial Stability Report, and Reserve Bank of India releases this report biannually. Okay, it releases this report biannually, right? So according to this report, non-banking financial companies and scheduled commercial banks, they have enough capital that they will be able to sustain any kind of recessionary pressures. Okay, so this is the thing. Now apart from this, Reserve Bank of India has noted that the outlook for the global economy was shrouded by considerable uncertainty due to war in Ukraine, elevated commodity prices, supply chain disruptions, and darkening growth prospects. Okay, and Reserve Bank of India said that stagflation risks are mounting. Means stagflation means multiple things, economy is going down, okay, recession is coming, then inflation rate is going up, okay, economy is slowing down, inflation is going up, and higher level of unemployment is happening. Okay, these three things put together, they are known as stagflation. Okay, so it has led to a situation where even the Reserve Bank of India is looking into those things that may lead to these conditions. So recently the Reserve Bank of India Governor Shaktikanta Das has written a foreword in this particular report, which is Financial Stability Report. So in this article, what are the important things for us to understand? That Financial Stability Report is released by the Reserve Bank of India. The Financial Stability Report is released by the Reserve Bank of India, and it is released biannually. And apart from this, there is high risk of stagflation. Stagflation means inflation going up, prices of goods and services going up. Okay, inflation, high inflation means prices of goods and services are going up. Recession means economy is going down, and at the same time unemployment level is rising. Okay, all these things put together constitute stagflation. So we will understand about stagflation. Apart from this, the scheduled commercial banks maintain robust capital positions with the capital to risk weighted asset ratio rising to a new high of 16.7%. Okay, so these institutions, they have maintained high level of capital to risk weighted assets ratio, okay, which is known as CRAR. Okay, then their net non-performing assets have gone down. Okay, these are multiple economic terms. Okay, so if you are not understanding these terms now, so you need to look into these terms to understand it better. Okay, because multiple things are happening in Indian economy. Okay, not only in Indian economy but globally. Okay, then apart from this, we do have another terminology, which is provisioning coverage ratio, PCR. Provisioning coverage ratio, PCR. Okay, it increased to 70% 70.9% in March 2022. Okay, increase in PCR is a good sign. It is a good sign for any healthy economy. Okay, so we will talk about in detail what do we mean by PCR, which is provisioning coverage ratio. I will also make you understand about stagflation, that terminology. Okay, then we have understood capital to risk weighted assets ratio. Okay, so these are terminologies where from where we can find questions in like prelims exam in like economy section. So now they have done a contagion analysis. Okay, so we will understand what do we mean by contagion analysis, simulated contagion analysis. So in this particular report, financial stability report of Reserve Bank of India, the Reserve Bank of India has done an analysis in a systematic manner. Means like they have simulated means it is not real, but they have done a virtual analysis by modeling the Indian economy. Okay, so that analysis said that even though losses due to failure of 5 banks with maximum capacity to cause contagion increased in March 2002 vis-a-vis September position, this would not lead to failure of any additional bank. According to this, like even if 5 big banks fail, right, still the economy will be, will sustain, and at the same time not only the economy will sustain, but further banks will not collapse. Okay, so these are observations by the Reserve Bank of India. So let us quickly look into these terminologies. Okay, what are those terminologies? Number one is stagflation. Okay, what causes stagflation? This is the keyword, stagflation. When the economic growth goes down, economic slowdown happens, then along with this, when inflation increases, inflation means prices of goods and services goes up, means purchasing power of money or rupee goes down. Okay, inflation means this. And at the same time, when the unemployment increases, all this situation put together is known as stagflation. Okay, stagflation means stagnant growth with high inflation. Okay, stagflation means stagnant growth with high inflation. Okay, so in economics, stagflation or recession inflation is a situation in which inflation rate is high, the economic growth rate slows, and unemployment remains steadily high. Okay, this is the thing. Apart from this, we will also look into this thing. What do we mean by provisioning coverage ratio? Okay, provisioning coverage ratio. This single article is helping you understand multiple key concepts in Indian economy or in economy subject. Okay, provisioning coverage ratio, PCR. It is the percentage of funds that a bank sets aside for losses. Okay, due to bad debt. Okay, a high PCR can be beneficial to banks to buffer themselves against losses if the NPS start increasing faster. Okay, so what is happening? Like all the loans that are extended by the banks, these loans are considered as assets for the bank. Okay, but if people who take loans from banks, if they do not repay, okay, if they do not repay their principal amount or interest, within a period of 90 days, okay, till 90 days they are not paying, so banks categorize that to be a non-performing asset. What? They categorize this to be a non-performing asset, which is known as NPA. Okay, it becomes a non-performing asset. So if non-performing assets go high for a bank, like if they have extended loan and they are not getting repayment, so like it is a worrisome situation for the bank. It is a situation that where banks will be worrying too much. But to control this particular situation or to sustain this situation, what they can do, they can have higher provisioning coverage ratio. Okay, so they can set aside some funds, okay, for covering these losses. Okay, so that is known as provisioning coverage ratio. So we have understood this topic. Okay, with this let us quickly move to the next topic. This topic is again related to economy. Okay, it says fiscal deficit touched 12.3% of financial year 23 goal in May. deficit projected at 6.4% of GDP in financial year. Okay. Now what has happened, like the government of India has projected that like we are going to have a total fiscal deficit of 6.4% in this financial year, okay, as compared to the GDP. But in the month of May itself, like it has touched 12.3% of the financial year goal. 1 month is having more than like 12.3% of this particular thing, what fiscal deficit. Now we need to understand about what do we mean by fiscal deficit. Okay, let us understand what do we mean by fiscal deficit. I have written it to be FD, simple. It is not fixed deposit, it's fiscal deficit. Okay, fiscal deficit, like fiscal deficit happens for a particular country, for example India. Okay, when we talk about fiscal deficit, we are talking about the entire economy. Okay, India. Then in India we have government of India. So government of India receives some money and it spends some money. When the money they receive is less than the amount that they spend, so it is known as fiscal deficit in a financial year. Okay, so now government of India has receipts and expenditures. It has receipts and expenditures. Okay, expenditures means it spends on multiple things. Okay, fiscal deficit is simply receipt minus expenditure. When receipt minus expenditure comes negative, it is known as fiscal deficit. Means the amount that the government of India has received from multiple sources, from tax and non-tax sources. Okay, so on one part government of India receives this money, then government of India spends this money. When expenditure is more, receipt is less, that is known as fiscal deficit in a particular year, in a particular financial year. Okay, it is associated with a financial year. Okay, so here we need to understand about difference between calendar year and financial year. Calendar year is from 1st of January to 31st of December. That is known as calendar year. If we talk about financial year, this is from 1st of April till 31st of March. Okay. So here when we talk about fiscal deficit is total expenditure minus total, total receipt minus total expenditure in a particular financial year. Okay. So this is the thing. So this is a very important concept related to economy. Okay. You should be knowing this term. The union government's fiscal deficit at the end of May stood at this particular thing. So here from this particular heading itself, we have understood about the meaning of fiscal deficit. Okay, so this is the thing. Fiscal deficit had stood 8.2% of the budget estimate of 2022 during the corresponding year earlier period. Okay, so now they have talked about like what has happened in the previous year, what has happened in the last year. So in the last year, the fiscal deficit was at 8.2% of budget estimate in the last year, but this year it is 12.3%. So here we have more fiscal deficit. It means government is spending more this year as compared to the previous year. Okay, so this particular report, okay, this particular information was shared by the Controller General of Accounts. Who has shared this information? It was information, this information was shared by Controller General of Accounts, and they have mentioned the exact number also. This is 2,03,921 crore. Okay, this is the this was the deficit. Deficit means excess expenditure. Okay, we have some money, we have spent more. So the expenditure that we made, we might have borrowed it from somewhere. Okay, so this information is shared by the Controller General of Account. Okay, so is it clear the concept of fiscal deficit? We receive less, we spend more. That is fiscal deficit. Right. Okay, so generally like government should maintain lower level of fiscal deficit. Okay, ideally it should be fiscal surplus, means like the amount that we are receiving should be more than the amount that we are spending, okay. So it should be fiscal surplus, okay, but the thing is fiscal deficit is increasing. Now let us move to the next topic. This is again a very important topic, okay. This is important. Why this is important? Because in this topic we are going to understand about a key strategic location. This may be important for mapping section for the prelims exam, and at the same time we are going to learn about some important like information related to the world, at large. We are going to understand about geopolitical situation. So this article is important under international relations, okay. It is important under international relations. So it says, Ukraine says it has driven the enemy forces out after a massive artillery and missile assault overnight, okay. So now let us understand, this is the location of Snake Island. You see this red dot? This is the location of Snake Island. Where is Snake Island located? Snake Island is located on the Black Sea. It is located on Black Sea. What is the importance of Snake Island? Snake Island is a strategic location for Ukraine. Why strategic location? Because Ukraine exports food items from Ukraine to other countries through this Snake Island. Generally ships that come out of Ukraine, they take some shelter for refueling and other purposes here, and from here they go to different countries, okay. So this is a very important location for Ukraine. Why? Because Ukraine is able to export its goods and commodities, right? It's like food items to other countries, okay. So it gives us information that Ukraine is a food exporter country, right? It is a food exporter country. So like when it exports something, it is going to receive foreign currencies, and they can utilize foreign currencies for purchasing any other item from the world at large, okay. This is the thing. So now what has happened? Soon after, Russia has started a war on Ukraine, means like it says it to be a special military operation in Ukraine, okay. Soon after Russia has started doing this, Russia had captured this particular island, Snake Island, okay. After capturing, so many countries were not receiving, okay, many countries were not receiving the food exports from Ukraine. So most of these countries have approached the United Nations organization. They approached that, like, Russia should not have captured this particular thing because it is threatening the humanitarian, what we say, like supplies for other countries, okay. And at the same time, Ukraine was continuously striving to gain back control on this particular island. But recently what has happened, Ukraine was able to gain control of this particular island by expelling the Russian forces. But here Russian government has said that, like, we do not want to stop the supplies of food items from Ukraine to other countries. So we want to support other countries to receive the humanitarian supplies. So that's why we have ourselves withdrawn from this particular island. Russia says we have come out of this particular island so that, like, we can we can support the like United Nations in this regard. But Ukraine says, like, we have expelled Russia, okay. But these are all political statements. What is important? The important thing is that we need to understand about importance of Snake Island, and it is located in Black Sea. Along with this, you should also know how many countries are surrounding the Black Sea. What are those countries that are surrounding the Black Sea? So after this discussion, you should go back and download the map of Black Sea and see the countries that are surrounding it, okay. So apart from this, like, all of it, like I have already discussed, you can read this particular thing. I mean, you can read this article in your free time, okay. So we have discussed all of it, okay. So there is another sea which is the bare rocky outcrop, sea lanes to Odyssey, okay, Ukraine's main Black Sea port, okay. This Odessa, okay, Odasa, Odessa, what is it? It is a port, okay, it is a sea port, okay. Odessa is a seaport. Snake Island is an island located in Black Sea and all. Okay. So grain export, I mean like most significant aspect is that this could open the door to Ukrainian grain exports from Odessa, which is critical for Ukraine's economy and for the global food supply. Okay. So this is an important article. So now let us look into the map of Black Sea. Alright. Let us look into the map of Black Sea. We will understand about how many countries are surrounding, what are those countries. Okay. This is Black Sea. This is Black Sea. This is where the Snake Island located. Then Crimea is a thing that was earlier captured by Russia in 2014 when it invaded this particular territory. Now let us understand about those countries that are surrounding Black Sea. Number 1 country, Ukraine. Number 2 country, Russia. Number 3 country, Georgia. Number 4 country, Turkey. Number 5, Bulgaria. Number 6, Romania. Okay. So these 6 countries are surrounding the Black Sea. These 6 countries are surrounding the Black Sea. Okay. So number of countries is important. Apart from this, name of countries is also important, that is surrounding the Black Sea. Okay. Along with this, we have Caspian Sea there to the right of it. We have some other locations also to the left of it. Then here we have strait means narrow water passage. Narrow water passage is known as strait. So this is Turkish Strait. Okay. Alright. So we have understood this thing. This is an important information for the prelims exam. So with this we will look into the next topic. We will understand the next topic. This article says good progress in talks with Sri Lanka. It is said by International Monetary Fund. Okay. So we know that International Monetary Fund is a global organization. It is an organization. It is a financial organization. Its membership is of different countries. Like many countries are members of International Monetary Fund. India is a member of International Monetary Fund. Okay, almost all countries that are part of the United Nations organization are members of this particular fund, International Monetary Fund. So what has happened, if we talk about International Monetary Fund, here the voting rights are in proportion to the amount of fund that a country has kept with IMF. Okay, so International Monetary Fund means like many countries have their money parked in International Monetary Fund, so it is acting like a bank. Okay, bank means like in that sense that like it is keeping money. So it gives voting rights to different countries, and whenever a country is in distress, okay, distress means whenever it has balance of payment crisis and all, then International Monetary Fund has multiple instruments through which it can help those countries. If you open the prelims question paper of this year, there was a question that talked about those specific schemes of International Monetary Fund. Okay, so there was a question from IMF, and in the paper itself they have asked. So similarly this particular question is also very important. This topic is very important. Okay, so this is directly relevant to the prelims exam of this year. I mean in prelims they have already asked a question, similar question. So if we talk about extended fund facility, extended fund facility is a kind of facility that the International Monetary Fund has for supporting those countries that are undergoing some economic distress. Okay, those countries that are undergoing some economic distress, they can seek help from the International Monetary Fund through different instruments. One of those instruments is extended fund facility. All right. So recently what has happened, we have known, we have come to know through newspapers that Sri Lanka has told preeminently that it will not be able to repay debts that it has taken from other countries. Why? Because of Sri Lankan financial crisis, and there the financial crisis started years back. last year they had stopped importing import of urea or import of chemical fertilizers. Okay, they have stopped this thing, so they wanted to go directly into organic farming, but like that backfired and people started protesting. Even now the government that is there, like the many people are protesting against the president of the government, that the president should resign from the post. Okay, so their political tension is there in Russia. Okay, political tension is there, then economic tension is also there in Russia, and Russia has borrowed some money from China. Okay, it has borrowed some money from China. Okay, we will talk about these things. So now Sri Lanka is undergoing through unprecedented economic crisis. Okay, a kind of economic crisis that has never have happened with Sri Lanka before. Okay, it is going through unprecedented economic crisis, and Sri Lanka is an island nation, and it is the immediate neighboring island nation to India. All right, so this is the thing. Now outlining, so what has happened, the International Monetary Fund has sent a team of experts, right, to visit Sri Lanka, and they have visited Sri Lanka, they have spoken with the government officials there, and they have tried to come into an agreement, so that like on those terms and conditions the International Monetary Fund will support Sri Lanka in facing this particular economic crisis. All right, so this is the thing. So like when those officials were coming out, they have made this statement that the objective of the new IMF supported program would be to restore macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability while protecting the poor and vulnerable, safeguarding financial stability, and stepping up structural reforms to address corruption vulnerabilities and unlock Sri Lanka's growth potential. All right. So in 1991 also India has gone through such similar situations. We also had a financial crisis there. We had balance of payment crisis, and we have sought support from International Monetary Fund that time. So that time the finance minister was Manmohan Singh. He was the finance minister, and we have received support from International Monetary Fund and also from World Bank, but they have also put some conditions on us, that like you do structural reforms in your economy. So that time we came up with LPG reforms. Okay, we came up with LPG reforms that time. LPG, it stands for liberalization, privatization and globalization. If you read the Indian economy book of 11th standard, okay, you will come across a chapter that talks about the LPG reforms in detail. Okay, so this is a very important article. This similar situation is being faced by Sri Lanka now, and so International Monetary Fund has said that like you should do some structural reform in your economy, so that like you can be you can sustain the debts, means like you have borrowed money, so that you can repay them, you can grow your economy, and you can have macroeconomic stability, means like stability in your economy. All right, so this is the thing. This is a very important article. In this article, what is the most important aspect? The most important aspect is to understand about this extended fund facility. This extended fund facility is a part of International Monetary Fund. So International Monetary Fund has a program which is known as Extended Fund Facility, and through this facility it supports those countries that are facing financial crisis. All right, so this is important. It is something that you should remember. It may be asked in the prelims exam. This year in the prelims exam there was a very similar question. They have asked about a terminology, and it was exactly related to the International Monetary Fund itself. Okay, you can open the this year's prelims paper. So we have understood this particular thing, and here also they have discussed about some some of the information. For example, Sri Lanka has done currency swap with People's Bank of China, and they have, now they have access to $1.5 billion, and they can use it on certain conditions. Okay, so these are, multiple additional information. But this article, like if we talk about this article, the information that we have received in this article, this information is through a think tank, through a NGO, and this NGO is known as the Center for Policy Alternatives. Okay, the Center for Policy Alternatives, it is a Colombo based NGO. Colombo is the capital of Sri Lanka. Okay, it noted that the bill does not. So what has happened recently, in Sri Lanka, the government has come up with a bill of reforms, but that bill of reform is being criticized by many people. Okay, it is being criticized by the think tanks, it is being criticized by the opposition party, it is being criticized by majority of people. So they say that this is like, it is in paper written as political reform, but it is actually not doing any kind of reform in the economy. Okay, so political pressures are there in Sri Lanka, and at the same time economy is undergoing lot of difficulties in Sri Lanka. Okay, so in Sri Lanka now they are facing balance of payment crisis similar to the ones that we have faced in 1991. Okay, but like there the political situation is different than the ones that we had in 1991 in India.
Presently they got political crisis as well as the economic crisis.
Right. So now we will talk about another topic. This topic is very important. Why important? Because this is related to Indian society. This is related to Indian society. Okay. So when we talk about jail, why jails are made in any country? Jails are made to isolate those people, right, who do some criminal activity, like who are not following the normal norms of the society. Okay, criminals are put into the jail, they are kept in jail for certain duration according to the kind of crimes that they have done. They are being punished in the jail, so that like once they come out of the jail, during the jail they can regret upon it. Once they come out from the jail, they can again integrate with the society. Okay, but like what are the main things that are making people go to jail? Like some of those ingredients are, many people are, for example, many people are less educated, right? Many people are less educated. So when people are less educated, they tend to resort to violence in case something happens. So education is an important part that makes people understand about the nuances of the society. Okay, so majority of the people who are in jail or who are facing multiple difficulties, okay, who are in jail. So who are these people?
These are the
Criminal background. Okay, so now even if they are in jail, they were part of the society, and if they come out of the jail, they have already served their sentence, so they should be able to integrate with the society again. So for this purpose, the government of Delhi is trying to come up with a policy. In that policy, the government school teachers are going to visit the jails. They are going to speak with the inmates of the jails. Okay, they are going to speak with the inmates of the jails to understand about their educational background, to understand about the skill set that they have, and to understand about how they can lead a sustainable life once they come out of the jail. So the government of Delhi is trying to impart training, impart skills to the jail inmates. Okay, what is the larger perspective? Larger perspective is that once they come out of the jail, they should be able to integrate with the society.
They need to survive as an army.
Yes. Okay, so with this similarly, we have for Delhi government, they have a mission which is known as Mission Bunyad. Okay, what was Mission Bunyad? Generally what has happened, during the last 2 years after the COVID pandemic, many schools were shut down for years. More than a year schools were shut down. So students were not able to go to the schools to learn. Okay, so there is a learning gap among the students. So during this time, what has happened, Government of India has launched Mission Bunyad, and this particular program aims to bridge the learning gap of students that has widened in the past 2 years due to COVID-19. Okay, so they want to bridge the gap, and under this program they are going to have a mega parent teacher meeting in the coming this month in July. Okay, so they are going to talk to the parents. The school teachers are going to talk to the parents about how the children were able to bridge the gap in their learning through extracurricular activities and other things under the Mission Bunyad program. Okay, so have we understood? This is general topic from Indian society perspective. It is important for the mains exam, so it is giving a point, okay, that talks about jail reforms, or it talks about how to integrate those people with the society again who have been into jail. All right, now let us talk about another topic. This is also a very important topic. Okay, it says green touchstone. Okay, green touchstone. Basically, this particular article will take us back to those that era when Gadgil has Gadgil committee has presented a report. Okay, it has presented a report, and that panel, okay, that panel or that panel was known as the Western Ghats Ecology Expert Panel. It was also known as Gadgil Commission, because the chairman of the panel was Madhav Gadgil, and he was an environmental research commission, this particular thing, WGEEP, it was an environmental research commission that was appointed by the Ministry of Environment and Forest in India. Okay, the commission submitted the report to the Government of India on 31st August 2011. So it's been more than a decade now. It's been more than 10 years since this particular commission has put its report in front of the Ministry of Forest and Environment. Okay, so what was this report all about? We will talk about those things. So basically, if we talk about the Western Ghats means this is India, this is the western portion of India. Okay, so if we talk about the western portion of India, so here we have the ecologically sensitive zone, means here we have good ecological things. We find the nature to be good here. Why? Because here we have greeneries all around. Okay, we have natural things. So that time huge development activities were going on in Kerala. Okay, so many people are towards doing development, many other people are towards safeguarding the integrity of the natural environment. Okay, so there was a tussle going on between people of different sets. Okay, builders were promoting developmental activity, environmentalists were promoting the conservation of environment related aspects, right? So that time Government of India has appointed this particular expert panel, which is known as Western Ghats Ecology Expert Panel. It was headed by Madhav Gadgil. Okay, so Madhav Gadgil has done a thorough study of the Western Ghat, and they have come out with a report, and they have put forward that report in front of the government. And in that report they have mentioned that this particular area they have categorized into 3 ecologically sensitive zone. Okay, ecologically sensitive zone, so 3 zones. So in this area they have pointed out those places where it will be categorized as ecologically sensitive zone 1, ecologically sensitive zone 2, zone 3. So these zones had different protective measures. One of the zone will have highest protective measure, other zone will have little lesser protective measure and all. So this article, if we talk about this article is precisely talking about that particular report, and also it is talking about that era when the report was being published, when this high frequency thing was going on there. High frequency thing means when this particular committee was appointed, people were very much optimistic. Who? The environmental activists were very much optimistic that it is going to come up with very good report, and it is going to safeguard integrity of the ecological environment there. But at the same time, the builders were apprehensive about this particular thing. Builders were against this thing. So like there was a mixed feeling. People were under, like lot of suspicion, like what kind of report is this committee going to bring? What will be its impact? How the government will react to it? Okay, a lot of things were happening there. But like, so this particular article narrates that particular story. It narrates that story that says that like, after this particular panel has, this panel took about a year, more than a year. They have taken more than a year in framing this particular report. Okay, after framing this report, on the day when Madhav Gadgil, initially he was an environmentalist, okay, he was a very common person, he could walk around easily, but when he was about to lay the report, there were huge crowd. He was safeguarded by huge number of security personals, and when he laid out the report, he has read the report, he had taken more than 2 hours, I guess, when he read out the report in detail. Okay, so it talked about the blueprint of the report, right? He discussed about like what is there in the report. But at that point of time, there were vested interest of those people who were pro-development activities. For example, the churches over there, the churches were looking for pro-development. They were looking for, massive development. So there was an era of misinformation. There was an era of, people started spreading misinformation about this report and all. So this particular Gadgil committee, okay, the Gadgil committee and its members, various members, they had to take multiple meetings. They have taken more than 72 meetings to actually spread the right information about this report, because like there was widespread misinformation in the media around everywhere. Okay, so this particular article talks in detail about what has happened and all during that time, and it talks about that it has never been the case that like a particular environmental report has created so much impact that even after a decade, people are still referring to that particular report, right, for the developmental activities in Kerala. Okay, so like this is the thing. If you read this report, you will understand about the story like that has happened at that point of time. Okay, so I'm not going to go into line by line for this thing. You can read this like in your free time. Okay, so they have talked about this report. Okay, many people talk that like Mr. Gadgil to be the messiah of Kerala's ecology. Okay, and after then they have the government has set up another report, another commission for looking into for making another report. That was Kasturi Rangan committee. Okay, but in this article they have only discussed about the Gadgil panel and Gadgil committee report. Okay, so in this report they have also laid a framework for the establishment of Western Ghats Ecology Authority. All right, so this is the thing. So you can read it in your free time. Okay, so any questions so far? Like we have discussed all the topics in detail. I know like I was a bit quicker in discussing all of it. So any doubt, any question that I can address, that I can help you understand in detail? Rajiv, Shweta, you? Alright. Okay, so thank you so much everyone for attending today's lecture. I think like the lecture is already going on on YouTube. So if in case we are going to share this particular PPT with you. If in case if you have any queries, you can ask me tomorrow. And tomorrow again we are going to have another The Hindu newspaper analysis, where we are going to discuss in detail about about the topics that will be there in tomorrow's newspaper. Thank you so much for attending today's discussion. I hope you have a great day ahead. Thank you.